Hello guys, I'm back again because what's happened right now? The Wi-Fi is back! I'm so happy. Finally got Wi-Fi back. Feels like I have nothing whatsoever over the past couple of days, but finally the Wi-Fi is back again. Let's start the preview for Smile. Let's begin. Hey guys, what's up? I'm back with another video, and in today's video we're going to do the preview for Doctor Who's next episode, Smile. Now, from my first reactions to this episode, I was really intrigued with this episode. I know many people, with their first reactions, they're not really interested in this episode because it seems really too nice. It's a too light-hearted episode. They really think that this series could be a bit more dark and a bit more mysterious. However, I think this episode is going to be the most light-hearted episode from this series because of the way it's located and also what the threat is in this episode. But I'm really looking forward to this episode because I'm really intrigued to see how far this idea could go with using emojis and the Emojibots. I'm really intrigued by it because emojis are used in our days, you know, very frequently, and we use it to express ourselves, our emotions, our feelings, and sometimes emojis can have a different meaning. And whenever some writers take things that we rely on in our everyday to-day lives, like Wi-Fi, emojis, if they take that element and they make a twist on it, a sinister twist on that thing, then it makes it so much frightening. And the same thing that Moffat did in Series 7 with Wi-Fi, that was really ingenious. Such an ingenious idea of taking Wi-Fi and then taking our souls and trapping us in the Wi-Fi. So it has a similar effect with this episode. I'm thinking this episode could creep the hell out of people who use emojis a lot. So this episode really feels a very great light-hearted episode, but the way that it's situated, it feels a very peaceful location and it feels much of a light-hearted episode. You think it's not going to be that scary enough for you to enjoy it. However, the way that I do feel that the location and the setting and the settlement feels really peaceful and too nice. However, I do like it like that because there is always something sinister how a location or an episode seems too peaceful, too nice. It has that sinister element that something's going to happen, something's badly going to happen, and it's going to be really terrifying. So I'm actually really intrigued with this episode. So we might as well make a start on the preview for Smile. Now, just before we start, I just want to mention that this month's Doctor Who magazine issue, in this magazine, if you haven't picked up the magazine, then I'd highly recommend you go and pick it up. Because in this magazine, as I had a little read through this little page, it had a little page of an upcoming Doctor Who episode. And it also has like all the other Doctor Who episodes are coming up quite soon. And I looked at this one here, Smile. I had a read through of it and I was really intrigued with it because I was really intrigued with the writer's point of view and how that idea came about and how this episode is going to be quite good for them. And I would just really like to see the kind of ideas behind Smile and how did the writers and how the crew decided to do this episode. So it was actually a really good thing for me to read this episode. So I was actually quite happy with myself that I actually read this and know a bit more about Smile. But let's get into the synopsis of Smile. And as we always do it in the previous preview, I always have my little sheet of paper with me. It just helps me out. Right. Smile, written by Cottrell-Boyce. Now, we'll get into his name a bit later on. The Doctor takes Bill to the colony world, July's 581D. I'm not sure if that's an actual world, but I do think it's an actual exoplanet that astronauts have discovered in 2009, I think. I think it's discovered. I might need to look it up, to be honest. So it is possibly that it could be an actual real world. It could be a new planet. So maybe I'll have a little look at it. It's a bright, sunny world tended by the tiny bird-like Vardis and their user interface, the Emojibots. There's just one thing missing: the colonists. As the Doctor and Bill investigate, they discover that to keep smiling is their only hope of staying alive. That is really creepy. In that final sentence, they discover that to keep smiling is the only way of staying alive. That has a really similar effect of what happened in Deep Breath. You must not breathe a single gasp of air. Like, hold in your deep breath. And with this, it feels like that you must keep smiling. You must not frown. You must keep smiling in order to survive. That is creepy as hell, in my opinion, because what happens if you don't want to smile? What would possibly happen? You want to run for your lives, but you can't smile. You don't want to, but you must in order to stay alive. How creepy is that? Now, I actually really think that's a really great synopsis, but also we do have more in the back, so we might as well go through that entire thing. In the far future, at the edge of the galaxy, there is a gleaming perfect city. This brand new settlement is said to be the hold of the secret of human happiness. But the only smiles the Doctor and Bill can find are a pile of grinning skulls. Something is alive in the walls, and the Emojibots are watching from the shadows as Bill and the Doctor try to unravel a terrifying mystery. So it almost has that mystery feel to the episode, but I'm really intrigued with this episode because, as in the synopsis says, a gleaming perfect city. I know many other Doctor Who stories that the Doctor has said, oh, it seems perfect. No, too perfect. And when it means too perfect, it doesn't look absolutely fantastic, like so perfect, exactly. It feels way too perfect, and I always find something sinister about that. Whenever you go to a city and you think it's so perfect, have a second guess. There is always something sinister when you go to a city and you find something that it's too quiet, it's too peaceful. Something sinister is going to happen in this episode, and I'm really intrigued with the theory about it. So it's actually going to be a really interesting episode. Just from the synopsis, it feels like a really interesting synopsis, and I hope it's going to be a really great story. Now, we mentioned about Frank Cottrell-Boyce. Now, I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right, but many fans, or many Doctor Who fans that is, have a really bad relationship with Frank Cottrell-Boyce writing. Now, he was the same writer who wrote In the Forest of the Night, whereas many people like to call it In the Forest of the Shite. Apologies for my bad language. I don't want to swear on this channel, but from that point of view, I couldn't resist saying that word. However, I'm willing to give other writers a chance, and for Frank's sake, although he did In the Forest of the Night, I'm willing to give writers and him a second chance. I know with many people's decisions, they judge a writer from their first episode, but it's too harsh on them. However, when they do a bad story, you honestly have the reaction that they're a terrible writer. Never get them to do a Doctor Who story ever again. That's being a bit too harsh in my opinion, because it's too unfair for them. They've only done one, and they may not get the entire reaction from the audience. So it kind of feels a bit harsh for them, for them to write that entire story and it didn't come out a really great success. It doesn't matter, because I'm willing to give other writers another chance. Look how Stephen Moffat started out. He wrote The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, which is regarded as one of the best Ninth Doctor's episodes of all time. He wrote that, and how creepy and sinister it was absolutely brilliant. And then look at the episodes that Moffat did for Matt Smith's era. The Wedding of River Song, ridiculous and terrible ideas, Hellbent. Remember all those episodes? And we always regard Moffat as one of those controversial writers who does really great stories and really bad stories. So I can see what Moffat's doing, but you can't really judge somebody just from one episode. It seems really too unfair. But I'm willing to give writers another second chance because you never know. This episode could be a real gem for Frank Cottrell-Boyce. So I'm hoping that something really great comes out of this episode, and I hope that many fans will give a really good reaction to this episode. I just really hope that Frank Cottrell-Boyce gives an absolutely brilliant episode that he can look up to and think, right, smile. That was one of my greatest highlights in Doctor Who. So I definitely think that other writers definitely need to have a second chance. And so I really do hope that Frank definitely pulls one right out of the bag and produces an absolute gem of a Doctor Who episode. That's what I'm hoping from this episode. But when many people said about the Emojibots, they don't like the design of them, they think they're too cute and too adorable. However, I do like the Emojibots. I like them a lot. I think they're original, they're unique, and there's something different. Although you're trying to include emojis in this episode, the Emojibots are something that I've never seen before. It's really different, it's original, and I like the concept of the Emojibots and how they kill people. The way they look so adorable is unbelievably so cute as ever, but the way they kill in the episode, which I'm really looking forward to, will actually make them so sinister as hell that I will actually be really terrified of them. Because many people have their doubts of this episode that the Emojibots aren't going to be too scary enough to enjoy the entire episode. But the way they kill people, that's threatening, that's terrifying. So I definitely think that this episode is going to be quite a controversial episode. Many people are going to like it, many people are not going to like it, but it really doesn't matter because I'm just really hoping for an absolute gem of a story from Frank Cottrell-Boyce. And also, Lawrence Goff, the same director who directed the pilot last week's episode, he's also directing this. And you remember all those beautiful shots in the TARDIS in the pilot? I'm witnessing, maybe in this episode, could we get some more beautiful shots in this episode? That will probably excite me the most about this episode, as well as with the Emojibots. I'm actually quite excited with the direction. I'm hoping that Lawrence Goff does a really fantastic job of directing it, because it really definitely needs something to back it up. If the storyline isn't brilliant, then the shots would definitely make it really entertaining and really stand out as a really high quality episode. And now my problem is to the story arc. What is actually going to happen for the actual plot in this episode? This is Bill's first time proper trip in the TARDIS into a new alien world. So, is the storyline going to be really good? Is it going to be simple? Is it going to be complicated? I'm just thinking that is the episode going to have a weak storyline? That's my only criticism I have about this episode. Is it going to be really strong? Are they going to have some momentum to go with the episode and really make it a really exciting episode? Or is the storyline going to be very weak and it's going to leave us with a question mark on our head? Right, why did that episode have to finish in that certainty way? Why did it have to do that? So I'm actually a bit concerned of whether the storyline is going to be really good. I like Frank Cottrell-Boyce's concept with the Emojibots and how they kill people. That's something I'm really intrigued by. And the location looks absolutely amazing. From the screenshots, it looks an absolutely peaceful place to live. And from these colonists, it feels like a very peaceful place to be. It feels like a new planet, a new destination, a new type of world. Almost like a utopia kind of feel when you look at this place. It feels really perfect. It feels really peaceful. But whenever it's so too peaceful or too nice, there's something sinister about it that really gets me and really makes me very curious about this episode. So I'm definitely really intrigued with this episode. I'm willing to give Frank Cottrell-Boyce another chance to prove himself in another Doctor Who episode. Let's just forget everything that's happened with In the Forest of the Night. Just block it out of your senses. Imagine if it's never existed before. Just block it out of your mind and just concentrate on this episode for once and just appreciate what could he do in this episode. Could we expect from Smile? I'm really intrigued with this episode. It feels one of the most light-hearted episodes from the series, whereas with all of the other episodes, I feel like they're going to be really dark. So having this episode as a light-hearted start for Bill will really intrigue me. And I'm really curious to see, are the Emojibots just a made-up name or something? I'm not really too sure whether they're actually called the Emojibots. Perhaps they're called something else. I'm not too sure, but I think it's a name that Bill would usually use, the Emojibots. I mean, many people would usually call them the Emoji Robots for sure, or something like that, but the Emojibots seem like a very modernized name that Bill will sort of use. And it actually has the first time ever in a Doctor Who episode, Bill actually taking the selfie with the Doctor. So, I'm actually really happy about this, because we use emojis and selfies and everything, you know, nowadays very frequently. And the way, as I said in the beginning, the way that some writers can take these elements, the things that we rely on, emojis, Wi-Fi, and they take a spin on this element and make it really terrifying, that's what Doctor Who is best for, and that's what Doctor Who is all about. Taking things that we rely on solely in our day-to-day lives and turning it on its head to make it really interesting and very sinister and very creepy. That's what Doctor Who does best. And I think with this episode, it feels like the Bells of St. John in Series 7, where they took the Wi-Fi and actually trapped people in the Wi-Fi, trapping their souls in the Wi-Fi. So I'm actually hoping that, I'm not sure if this episode would have a similar plot or similar output to this or to that episode, but I'm hoping for something different, and I hope they would take this concept of using emojis and the Emojibots. For people who use emojis very frequently, will you be very afraid of these Emojibots? Will they creep you out? Will this episode be really creepy? Although it may look really nice and the Emojibots may look really adorable, but with the killing, will that make you feel, right, these Emojibots are not what you think? They may look cute, but they look really creepy. They feel creepy. They kill in a certainty way. They kill with a smile on their face. How creepy is that? Just smiling when you're just about to kill somebody is absolutely so sinister as hell. And the way the Emojibots will do it in the episode, I'm really intrigued. I'm so intrigued. But I just hope that maybe the storyline, will it be strong enough to go with the episode? Will it be really strong? Will it have a good ending to it? So I'm just hoping that Cottrell-Boyce does a really good job on writing this episode, and I just hope that maybe fans will probably forgive him for the atrocity of the Forest of the Night, and just concentrate on this episode. And let's just hope that maybe this episode will be a really good episode for Cottrell-Boyce legacy in Doctor Who. So I'm just hoping that if we give him a chance, it's just the point that many people will either give him a chance or will not even bother with giving him a chance. Because every writer deserves a second chance. Imagine if you wrote a Doctor Who story and you didn't get the reaction that you wanted. How would you feel if nobody liked your story? How does he feel now? For having a lot of criticism over the Forest of the Night, how does he feel right now? But continuing with a news story, I feel like it's a really great thing to have a news story, because you never know. This episode could be really special and such of a fantastic, it could be a really great story in my opinion. It may not be a disastrous story, it will be a really great story in my opinion. So I'm just hoping that if you guys are willing with me, just give the guy a chance, because in the Forest of the Night, it was his first episode. So maybe you just give him a second chance, because you can't just judge somebody just from one story. That seems really unfair for him. So I'm willing to give him another chance to see, will he produce a fantastic gem in this episode, or will we look over and see he could have almost finished that episode so good, but he just messed up on a few things. But it's always a tried and tested thing. But if we had the chance to rewrite a Doctor Who story, imagine what the pressure will be on us to really deliver more appreciation to the fans. So I'm just really hoping that this episode goes really well. I'm really intrigued with the emojis and the Emojibots and how they kill. The way it's so peaceful and so nice will actually be really sinister, because it just feels like a very normal, very peaceful place. but it also has a sinister side that something's not right here. Something is seriously wrong, and the Doctor and Bill are in for an absolute fright to find out what is wrong with this place. And where are the colonists? Where have they been deserted to? Are there any colonists about? So I'll put the link in the description down below for the next time trailer for Smile, so you can go and check it out and you can have a little look at what the episode is like. But I want you to have a little think about the Emojibots. Have a really good deep think. Don't really think about them as a very cute and very adorable villain. Think about how they really turn on their deadly and sinister side, and how they kill people with a smile on their face. How creepy will that be if you were the person being strangled by an Emojibot and they would have a smile on their face? Feels like they enjoy it. How creepy would that be? So that's my entire opinion on Smile, and I hope that this episode goes really, really well. I just hope that Cottrell-Boyce does a really, really good episode and maybe give himself a bit more redemption from his previous episode. And let's just hope that maybe fans will appreciate this episode, and make sure you do comment down below what your opinions are of Smile. I hope you are really interested with this episode. If not, then that's fine. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, but I'm just willing to give writers a second chance. And with this episode, it feels like a really, really good episode. It feels like a really sci-fi episode that Bill is introduced to a new alien planet, a new threat, and a great, exciting new adventure for Bill and Capaldi in the TARDIS. So I'm really excited to see what the Doctor and Bill are up to in this episode. But just before I go, I don't hardly see Nardole in the trailer. Where is Nardole in this episode? I'm not too sure if he's really in this episode. I'm not sure if he would pop out from like one episode and then come back in another. Maybe he's in this episode, but maybe he's doing something else. Maybe he's guarding the vault. Maybe to prevent anybody from going into the vault and giving people a chance to look inside. Maybe Nardole's not in the story ever. Maybe he's just deserted out of Doctor Who. We're not too sure where Nardole is in this episode. So we will probably find out where is Nardole in this episode, and what's he doing if he's not with Bill or with the Doctor. So we might as well find out in the episode. But make sure to look out for my review on Smile, because it may be completely different to this preview. So make sure you have a great chance to watch Smile. Make sure you enjoy everything about this episode, and then I will assure you that maybe could this episode be really great, or will it just be a disappointment that would have been really great if we had a great episode from Cottrell-Boyce, but instead unfortunately we didn't. So I'm really hoping that he does a fantastic job on making these Emojibots really creepy as hell, and just make it a really sinister story. Because although it may look really peaceful and really nice and very lovely in the setting of the place for human happiness, but no, when you see these Emojibots, you honestly have a reaction that this place is not what you think. It's not as happy as you think. It's really creepy, and it's going to be really terrifying. So that's my preview on the next episode, Smile. I hope you have enjoyed it. Make sure you leave this video a like, but also comment down below what your thoughts are on Smile and what would happen in this episode. And make sure you do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I hope you are still continuing with my channel, and I hope you are still interested with my Series 10 series. It seems really strange to say series twice, but no, never mind. Anyway, make sure you also pick up this new this Doctor Who magazine. It also has all of the other content for the next episode, Thin Ice. So make sure you go and buy it, and definitely check out all of the exciting content within this magazine. And thank you for watching for this preview, and I will see you guys for my review on Smile. Thank you guys for watching.